Okay. Good morning. So, can anyone say where did we stop in the last class? Where did we start and where did we stop? Can anyone? So, in the last few classes, we have started with module 2 in the object oriented programming with Java. So, in that, we have started with the access modifiers and we have seen how the access modifiers are. There are four access level modifiers. One is no modifier, one is private, public, and protected. So then we have seen about a default access modifier where we don't have any keywords. We don't use any keywords for a default access modifier. And we have seen about a private. When we say it is a private, it is only within a declared class itself. When we are declaring it as a private access modifier, uh, when we declare it for a method variable or a constructor, that will be accessible only within the class itself. And it is very sensitive. It is levels where private cannot be allowed. So then we started seeing about with small example how the private for variable format with a data type string and it is used. And we have started with the public. So when we are using a public access modifier, it can be used by anybody within the particular program. Along with that, they've told that the main method. So in Java, the execution starts with main method. Then that definitely it should be a public. That is one restriction here they've given. And protected. So when do we use a protected? When we want uh, the properties to be used only by its subclasses from its superclass to its subclasses, then only we'll be using a protected member class. Then we have seen one program and we have started with access control and inheritance. How do we access control? And we have seen Java access modifiers. We know that there are four access Java access modifiers, that is default, private, protected, and uh, private, protected, and public. And we have seen one more non-access modifiers, where the non-access modifiers, we have seen them as static, final, abstract, synchronized, and volatile. These are the non-access modifier. Non-access means, but still they are called as a access modifier, but they are not affecting the access. So static, we have seen that only one memory location will be allocated. Final, if we don't want further to be inherited, then we use a final. Then abstract, we don't want to go in depth, we just want to give only the abstract view of anything, then we call it, then we use an abstract modifier. The synchronized, making the threads to run parallelly. And volatile, so where the memory should be stored for some time, so then that is what is called as volatile. Then we have seen access levels. So how the access levels are, that is modifiers. In modifiers we know that there are four: public, protected, default, then a private. So with respect to class, package, subclass, and the vault, so class, so public, if you say it is a public, yes, it is allowed. If it is a protected, yes. Then if it is default, also it is accessed. Then private, then also within the class, yes. So then package, if it is a public, yes. Protected, yes. And default, yes. And if it is a private, no. So the same way subclasses, public, if you're saying public, yes, we are allowed. Then protected, yes, it is allowed. Then no modifier, the default one, no, it is not accessing. Then private, no. That's the reason we are using protected. In the same way, the last one, world. Public, yes, anybody can be used the thing. Then protected, default, and private cannot be used. Then we have seen what each column is doing. So you can just go through this. It will give you a in-depth explanation about what is first column is doing, what is second, what is third is doing in the table, which is present here. Then we have started with the pass objects to methods. So object reference can be parameters, call by value, which we have already seen in the first unit, call by value and call by reference. A call by value means where we directly pass our values. Then call by reference means where we pass the objects. Then it is called as a call by reference. Then we've seen a program so where public one triangle, a rectangle is used. In that rectangle, two variables, that is length and width, is been assigned, and in that the length is of data type double as well as width is also of data type double, and the access modifier is private. Then we are using a rectangle. So rectangle, the length is we are initializing initially as 0, width also 0. Then rectangle, the double, it is 1, and double w we are using. That is where we can just see the constructors difference between the constructor rectangle without parameters, and constructor triangle rectangle with two parameters, that is length and w. So that is L equals to length, W equals to width. So then public void set length double L. So length equals to double. Set even the width also we are setting, that is W. So then we are assigning length and width for both the variables, that is length and width, and double get length, that is length, it will return a length, as well as get width, it will return a width. And we are calculating the area of a rectangle, that is length into width, and we are storing in a method called as a get area. In the same way, if we want to calculate a perimeter, then we make it as 2 into length plus width. So then the continuation of the same program, here we are creating an object with a name called as RECT, and we are calling the constructor parameterized constructor, and we are passing two variables 10 and 20, and we are displaying rect dot get length, rect dot get width, rect dot get area. So then change rectangle, that is rect system dot out dot println, then length rect equals to get length, rect equals to get width, then area, getting the calculating the area. Then again we are changing the length and width of the rectangle from 10, 20 to 30 and 5, and we are calculating and displaying it. You can see in the output where, so the output says first we are assigning it as 10 and 20, and it is length into width 10 into 20 is 200. So then the length and width is being changed to 30 and 5, and the area is 150. So then we have started with the parameter and argument, how the parameters are passed to the objects as well as the methods inside the methods. So then this is one program which we have seen where we are passing only single variable, that is we are passing Limna, Jenny and Anja. So these are the strings which we are passing to the object my method. That is a method where my method is a method or a function for in a main program, and we are passing to that. So this is after we write a program, this is our output. So then passing a multiple parameters. Passing multiple parameter means in the earlier program we have passed only one string. Here we are passing a string as well as the number. What is a string? The name of a person. And what is a number? It is the age of a person. So that's a thing you can see here. These are the name of a persons and these are their age. And the output of this program is this one. So Limna is age is 5. Jenny is the age of 8. Anja is at the age of 31. So like this, we pass string as well as numbers. And next we move on to the returning object from a method. So how do we return? So like any other data types, method can return objects. For example, in the following program, the make twice method returns an object in which the value of instance variable is 2 times than it in the invoking the object. Yes, in this program, we can see here the sample is a class name, and we are passing, we are taking one variable called as a value and the data type as int and the access modifier as a private. And we are taking one constructor where, so the we are passing a I to the constructor and the data type int. So in the same way, so the I is assigned to the value. So in the same way, public sample, make it as twice, means double the value. So that's the reason value into 2. So then we are creating a object called as a temp for the class called as a sample and returning that to the returning that value and displaying the value. Now we are creating two objects, object 1 and object 2. And in object 1, we are passing a value as 10 to the object 1 and we are calculating. So object 1 dot make twice, what it is doing is it is calculating 2 into 10. So it is 20. So 20 is being displayed. So that's what your object show, it is being displayed. And again, what we are doing, we are passing this, we are creating one more object as a object 2, where we are using that object 2 to display. Pass the object value and make a twice. Make a twice is a method, and object is one object, object 2 is another object, and displaying that object. Okay, next we have started with the method overloading. So with the method overloading, multiple methods can have the same name with different parameters. But again, they have given some restriction. We may have same name, but still we should have a different data types, different number of parameters, and different return type, that is access modifiers. Different return types also, it should be different. So in the same way, you can see my method in this slide. There are three my methods, my method, my method, my method. And the return type for the first one is int, and the second one is float, and the third one is double. So, and in the same way here, int x, float x, double x, and double y. So that's what here you can see here. We are passing one parameter of x of data type int. So in the same way, float x of the data type float. The same way, double x and double y. So these are the two parameters where we pass x and y. Consider the following example, which have two methods that add number of different types. So here it is returning two values, that is int x and int y. It is calculating x plus y and returning that. So this is for integer. So the same way we can do it for double also. So then the same way here, the double is being done for x and y. For data type int is also x plus y. Then static void main string, then my number 1 plus method 8 comma 5. For integer we are passing 8 comma 5. That is 8 plus 5 will be added. So in the same way, 4.3 plus 6.26 is added and it is stored in a num2. So that's what the program here, this for the same logic, we have written a program, and this is a int and a double. Next, we move on to the constructor overloading. So what is constructor? We already seen what is a constructor. With respect to overloading, how we do it. So in Java, constructor is like a method, but without a return type. So constructor will not have a return type, which we already seen. It can also be overloaded like Java method. So when we are overloading other methods as other methods, same way we can even overload constructors also. So that's what here constructor overloading in Java is a technique of having more than one constructor with a different parameter list. They are arranged in a way that each constructor performs a different task. They are differentiated by the compiler by the number of parameters in the list and their types. So the same way here, the Java program to overload the constructor class student5 int id, then string a name of the student and the age. Then we are passing it to the constructor first as id and a string. So in the same way, we are using one more constructor where we are passing a string, integer, string, and age. So that's what your ID, ID, name, and the age. Then display them. So then public static void main. So then we are displaying it as a triple one, and here in place of the third value it will be 0, and the third value, because the constructor uh, where in one constructor we are passing only 2 parameters, in other constructor we are passing 3 parameters. So then difference between a Java constructor and a Java method. A constructor is used to initialize the state of an object. A constructor may not have a return type. The constructor is invoked implicitly. The Java compiler provides a default constructor if you don't have any constructor in the class. The constructor name must be same as the class name. And how about the Java? Java method is used to expose the behavior of an object. A method must have a return type. Method is invoked explicitly. Method is not provided by a compiler in any case. The method name may or may not be the same as the class name. So then we have seen the same differences. Okay, so next we start with the recursion. So what do we mean by recursion? A function calling itself is called as a recursion. A recursion in Java is a process in which a method calls itself continuously. A method in Java that calls itself is called as a recursive method. It makes the code compact but complex to understand. So you can see here a recursion program for infinite times. So because if you are not properly ending, it may return to a infinite times. So return type, method name, this is a syntax for using a recursion. So then what you want to implement here, you can implement and again call the method here. In the same way, recursion example one, static p method, and we want to display hello, and we are calling this method here p, and we are just calling here. So this keeps going because there is no ending. So what the recursion says, recursion first, one time when we go for recursion, it should keep moving on to the ending condition. If you are not doing that, then that becomes to be infinite loop. Okay, so let us see one more program which you already know, Fibonacci series. So what do we mean by Fibonacci series? Can anyone say what is Fibonacci series? Can anyone say what is Fibonacci series? Yes? Can anyone say what is Fibonacci series? Yes, anyone?
Adding the two previous values to get the another value.
Yes, correct. So what is Fibonacci series? Adding the last previous two numbers and getting the next number. Like this, we keep repeating till how many number of times we want, how many number of elements we want. So that's what we see in this program. Public class recursion. So then here in this case, initially we are taking first value as 0, second value as 1, and third value temporarily we are making it as a 0. And we see that count greater than 0, add the last previous number. Last previous number in n1 is 0, n2 is 1. 0 plus 1, it is 1. So in n3 we are storing it as 1. So then we are shifting back. So what was there in N2, shift that to for N1. What is there in N3, shift that to N2. Means, so initially we were having N1 as 0. Now we are making it as 1. So then N2 was having 1. But now we have, after adding also we are getting 1. So we are moving values for N1 as 1, N2 as 1. And display N3. So then increment again, keep moving it till the count becomes -1. So this loop should be keep repeating. Yes. So then till when the count equal to 15, till the count becomes 15, you keep repeating. So then system we are displaying first time we are displaying n1 and n2. What was n1 and n2? Initially we have taken 0 and 1. Later we are adding them. Yes, we are adding them. So n 0 plus 1 is 1. So next one, 1 plus 1 is 2. Then 2 plus 1 is 3. Like this it keeps going till when? Till they have told that it should become 15. Till the if loop, this count becomes 15, you keep repeating these things. So that's what your recursion program for Fibonacci series. Because in the first unit, I have explained you about the factorial, uh, which was not required in the first unit, but still to glance up, I have given. So here I have given a Fibonacci series. Okay, next we move on understanding the static. So we have seen already, but still one more reviewing. So the static keyword in Java is used for memory management mainly. We can apply static keyword with variables, methods, blocks, and nested class. So where we can use the static keyword, we can use a static keyword with respect to variables, with methods, blocks, and nested classes. The static keyword belongs to the class than an instance of the class. The static can be variable, method, block, and nested class. So what is variable, also known as a class member, method also known as a class method, and the block and the nested class. Okay, so what is Java static variable? If you declare any variable as static, it is known as a static variable. So what do we mean by the static Java static variable? If you declare any variable as static, it is also known as a static variable. The static variable can be used to refer to the common property of all objects. So what we are doing, static variable can be used to refer the common properties of all the objects, which is not unique for each object. For example, the company name of employee, college name of a student, etc. can be used for a static variable. Static variable gets memory only once in the class at the time of class loading. So that's about a static variable. So the advantage of static variable, it makes your program more efficient, and it takes very saving of memory will be very less. So then how do we declare understanding the problem without static member? So suppose if we go for in a negative way where we have not used static. So class, student, int, roll number, name of a student, and college, some college name, like how you have by is for a BMSIT. The same way here they have just given ITS as their college code. Suppose there are 500 students in the college. Suppose there are 500. Now all instance data members will get memory each time when the object is created. Yes. So if you are in our college, still we have more. If suppose let us assume that there are 500 students. All students have its unique roll number and name, right? Yes. Each one of you have your USN numbers and a roll number. So the instance data member is good. In such case, here college refers to the common property of all the objects. So here what we say, the member is good in such case. Here college refers to the common property of all the objects. If we make it static, this field will get the memory only once. Java program to demonstrate use of static variable. Class, student, int, roll number, string name, static college. Then the constructor, we are passing two parameters. One is roll number, another one is name for the constructor student. And display the roll number, name, and the college of the particular student. Then create a class, a static variable. So then main. So then passing a values, student one, one object for S1. S1 is an object, S2 is one more object, and passing values to the objects and display them. Okay, so that's about the static variable. So what did we do? You can see here we have without using them. Okay, next we move on to the Java static methods. So what is, how, in case if we use a static for a methods, method means functions. If you apply a static keyword with any method, it is known as a static method. A static method belongs to the class rather than the object of a class. A static method can be invoked without the need for creating an instance of a class. A static method can access static data member and can change the value of it. So a static method belongs to a class rather than the object of a class. Static method can be invoked without the need for creating an instance of a class. Static method can access static data members and can change the value of it. Let us take one small example, the same example what we have seen, roll number, name, and a college code. And we are giving change. We want to change because in the university, how many colleges we have? We have so many colleges. So then we want to give one method which is of static and change the college. So some college, BBI, DI, some college name, college code. So now we are passing same method constructor, passing two parameters. One is of integer, another one is of string. So then R we are passing for roll number, N we are passing for name, and display the roll number, name, and the college. And we are creating here three objects, S1, S2, and S3, and we are passing a triple one, triple two, triple three, and names of the students, and display all of the object values. That's about a static method. So then what are the restrictions we have for the static method? There are two restrictions. There are mainly two restrictions for the static method. The static method cannot use a static data members. So what it says, okay, we got a message saying that we have to conduct a proctor meeting today. So I'll be conducting at 1:30 because 2 o'clock I have one more meeting. Dakshine is here. Dakshine is here. Dakshine.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Yeah. Can you just inform them? My part of students, there will be a proctor meeting at 1:30.
Okay, ma'am. I'll put a message.
Yeah, and because 2 o'clock I have other meeting.
Yes, okay, ma'am.
Okay. Next we see about restriction of static method. There are two main restrictions for the static method. They are the static method cannot use non-static data members or call non-static methods directly. This and super cannot be used in a static context. So that's what we have to always remember when you're using a this keyword as well as a super keyword. You cannot combine with the static. Okay, so next we move on to a Java static block. So it used to initialize the static data member. It is executed before the main method at the time of class loading. So example for that. So class A2 static system.out.println static block is invoked. So then we are declaring main method and we're just printing it as a hello main. So Java static block, it is used to initialize the static data members. It is executed before the main method at the time of class loading. So Java inner class or nested class is a class which is declared inside the class or interface. We use inner class to logically group classes and interfaces in one place so that it can be more readable and maintainable. Additionally, it can access all the members of the outer class, including private data member and the method. So what is inner class? How we have a if within one more if, for within one more for, loop within one more loop. Same way here in Java inner classes. So what do we mean by Java inner class? Java inner class is similar like a nested class, in which class which is declared inside the class, either it may be a class or an interface. So then we are calling it as a inner class, Java inner class. So we used inner classes to logically group classes and interfaces in one place so that it can be more readable and maintainable. Additionally, it can access all the members of the outer class, including private data member and a method. So the syntax for Java inner class. So the Java outer class is there and a Java inner class. So what is this Java class, Java outer class, inner class? Here this is inside a class, this is a outside a class. Then what are the advantages of Java inner class? There are basically three advantages of inner class in Java. They are also nested class represented a special type of relationship that is that it is can access all the members, data members, and methods of outer class, including private. So nested class are used to develop more readable and maintainable code because it logically group classes and interfaces in one place only. So code optimization, it requires less code to write. So these are the three advantages of Java inner class. So what are the three Java inner class advantages? Nested class represents a special type of relationship that it is can access all the members, that is data member and methods of outer class, including private. So nested classes are used to develop more readable and maintainable code because it logically group classes and interfaces in one place only. Then code optimization, it requires less code to write. What's the difference between nested class and nested class and inner class in Java? Inner class is a part of a nested class. So we should know what is the difference between inner class and a nested class and an inner class in Java. Inner class is a part of a nested class. Non-static nested classes are known as inner classes. Types of nested class. There are two types of nested class, non-static and static nested classes. The non-static nested classes are known as a inner class. Non-static nested classes, that is inner class, in member inner class, anonymous inner class, local inner class, then static nested class. So then the type and the description, the member inner class, a class created within a class and outside the method. Anonymous inner class, a class created for implementing interface or extending class. Its name is decided by the Java compiler. Local inner class, a class created within a method. A static nested class, a static class created within a class. A nested class, an interface created within a class or the interface. So that's about the type and the description. Member inner class, a class created within a class and outside method. So anonymous inner class, a class created for implementing interface or extending a class. Its name is decided by the Java compiler. Local inner class, a class created within a method. A static nested class, a static class created within a class. Nested class, an interface created within a class or the interface. So that's about the inner classes. So next we move on to a variable length argument. So variable length, so in your C, you would have seen yes, variable length So anywhere did you see variable length argument? Yes, anybody? Variable length. Okay, let me come back like this. What's the difference between Unix union and the structures in C? Can anyone? What's the difference between union and structure? Can anyone say what's the difference between union and structure? Yes, anyone? Difference between union and structure in C. In C programming, you have studied, right? What is union? What is structure? Can anyone?
Different memory allocation of the structure
Uh,
for the every element that is present in the structure.
okay.
That is shared. But the memory allocation for in the element in the union are for the maximum element that have the maximum size.
Yes, correct. Same way here, what we are doing here is, so in generally we use array, it is fixed memory location. The same way in structure and union, how union takes the memory allocation based on the length, which has a maximum length in the union. Same way here, what we are doing is variable length. So sometimes initially I may not know what is the size of the variable. So then we want method with a variable length arguments. In that we are using a var variable, short form as args, that is variable length argument. In Java can have zero or multiple arguments. Variable length arguments are most useful when the number of arguments to be passed to the method is not known beforehand. That's what. So if you're doing some project and if you don't know what is the size of the memory you want to assign for this particular variable or a method, anything like that, then in that case what you can do is you can pass either zero or multiple arguments. So the variable length arguments are most useful when the number of arguments to be passed to the method is not known beforehand. They also reduce the code as overloaded methods are not required. They also reduce what they do, they also reduce the code as overloaded methods are not required. So let us take class one program and we'll stop for the day for this. So one class called as a demo and we take variable length argument VAR GARS. So this is a method where we can pass either zero or multiple arguments. Here str is a string and we don't know the size of the string here. We don't know the size, what is the length of the string, then we can use this. So then we just display the number of arguments, that is string dot. If you want the length, then we know that we have a built-in function called as a length. So then just the argument values are, what are the values we have displayed, that also we want. For that we start from starting, then go till the length of the string, then display one word by word. So that's what here, what are there in the arguments, we have apple, mango and pear. And after calling again we are passing one more, that is magic. So these are the three different variable methods for a variable length argument. And here the number of arguments, what we have, 3. So the number of arguments what we have passed, that is apple, mango and pear. This is the first value we are passing. Next one we are not passing anything, that is 0. So then that will be 0. So next one will be passing variable argument, that is 1 and it is a magic. So that's about this output of this program. So I'll stop here. I'll just complete this slide and we'll stop. Now let us understand the above program. So the method, the variable argument is class demo have a variable length argument of type string. So this method prints the number of arguments as well as their values. The code snippet which we have seen. So here in this case, the string length, and it keeps displaying this part. the main method, in that main method, that is VAR argument, is called with a different argument. So the first method calls 3 parameters, the second one 0, and the third one 1. So like this, this is how we pass a variable length argument. So let me stop here and we'll continue in the next class. What is your next class? Which class do you have next?
Cyber security, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes. Yes,
I
ma'am.
have put message in department group. Just look at it and just tell me as it put properly. I have put properly or not.
Yes, it is right. It is right. Dakshini, I have just seen it is right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Today's date is 11. Okay. Answer your attendance. Anaga,
Yes, ma'am.
Abhilash,
Yes, ma'am.
Akhil, Akrut,
He's present, ma'am. Network issue.
Anusha,
Yes, ma'am.
Arvind,
Present, ma'am.
Tarifullah,
Yes, ma'am.
Beneka,
Present, ma'am.
Panu Prakash, Bhargav,
Yes, ma'am.
Rehmatullah, present. Chaitra,
Present, ma'am.
Chandana,
Present, ma'am.
Charan,
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan,
Present, ma'am.
Diksha,
She's present, ma'am.
Dakshayani,
Present, ma'am.
Kishan. Okay. Harshit,
Present, ma'am.
Hemalata,
Present, ma'am.
Huma,
Present, ma'am.
Jayant,
Present, ma'am.
Divya, Kaushik,
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi,
Ma'am,
Yes,
Divya
ma'am.
present, ma'am.
Ma'am, she has put in chat box Lakshmi.
Aya, Lavanya,
Present, ma'am.
Manish,
Present, ma'am.
Manoj,
Present, ma'am.
Mohit,
Yes, ma'am.
Naval,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Navya, Nikhil, Panindra,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan, Pooja, Purnima,
Yes, ma'am.
Raman,
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi,
Present, ma'am.
Rupak,
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Kumar. Last class also he was not present. Today also is not present. Samir,
Present, ma'am.
Santosh,
Present, ma'am.
Sadab,
Present, ma'am.
Charan,
Present, ma'am.
Shashank,
Present, ma'am.
Sheetal,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani,
Present, ma'am.
Soumya,
Present, ma'am.
Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Sri Vishnu,
Present, ma'am.
Sugandhini,
Present, ma'am.
Sushma,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita, you,
Present, ma'am.
Tirtha,
Present, ma'am.
Trupti,
Present, ma'am.
Varsha,
Present, ma'am.
Varsh, Veena,
Present, ma'am.
Ma'am, Nikhil present, ma'am.
yeah, Nikhil Mat,
I'm Divya present, ma'am. She have put in chat box.
yeah, Nikhil. Yeah. Pavan is present. He's well. He told the other day his uncle has expired. Okay, now he's fine, right? I hope so. He should be fine. His friend, any of his friend? Okay, so we'll stop here. Any doubts? Any doubts?